Hickok 45. Welcome to the Hickok 45 Talks channel. Gonna talk at you. I'm still working my way through suggestions, and one was to asking me to talk about my favorite movies. Well, that could be a long topic, couldn't it? Could end up discussing one movie for an hour, or give you a list of some of my favorites. I thought mainly today I would just give you a list of some of my favorite movies. Maybe we'll do some further talks about specific movies. And I was just kind of jotting some movies down. There are lots of great movies, aren't there? Lots of great books. But some that kind of stand out and ones that I enjoy watching again every few years, whatever. I guess that kind of tells you. Same with a book. If you want to read it again after a year or two, or five, or whatever, that pretty well tells you there's something there that you enjoyed, right? Anyway, some movies in no particular order, just as I was coming up with them. The Godfather, great movie. The Highwayman with Costner and what's his face. That's not that old a movie. Great movie. I love that. Kill the Mockingbird, of course. Wonderful book and great movie too. Unusual. Forrest Gump. I think it's a little goofy in some ways, but it's just a good movie. Good Will Hunting. I like that movie. There's some movies that I really like that, maybe as I mentioned before, the main characters are people I wouldn't like to support their politics, maybe, but just great actors. Which reminds me of another movie I don't think I listed. What was the movie with, speaking of that topic, Jane Fonda and Robert Redford? Something cowboy. You saw the Electric Horseman. A lot of people can't watch it because Jane Fonda's in it and all that, but great movie. Willie Nelson's in there. Who else? Old movie. All right. Good Will Hunting. Wonderful movie. Great plot. Great acting. Gettysburg. The one that Ted Turner did. Great movie. Tombstone, of course. Jeremiah Johnson. Outlaw Joseph Wales. Oh, you know what? I didn't even. It's probably a million, or it's probably 10 of my all-time favorites I didn't think of, like Dirty Harry, the Magnum Force, the Dirty Harry movies, several of those. I said Planet of the Apes, and the original Planet of the Apes with Charlton Heston. Great movie. I remember seeing that at the drive-in. For you youngsters, what's a drive-in? The drive-in movies in '68, I guess. I was a senior, I think, or maybe it even been the summer after I don't know when it came out, but the drive-in was just shocked, at the ending. Kind of neat. The days before the internet, and the movie had just come out. It was at the drive-in. I didn't know anybody had seen it, I don't think, and so it was all a surprise. And It's a Wonderful Life, great movie. There's some sappy movies that I like. I watch A Wonderful Life every Christmas season. I like Lawman. Of course, you're going to see a lot of westerns and that kind of thing on my lists. I think Lawman is one that a lot of people, no one mentions it. It's with Burt Lancaster, and the title is just Lawman. Okay, look it up if you have not seen it. It has a cast of characters too that you would recognize, and just well done. Just a good movie. I mean, it's not a blockbuster, but it's a good movie. Just well done. Good acting. It's not a B grade movie. Valdez is Coming. Another fairy favorite. Valdez is Coming. Great movie if you haven't seen that. And then the Wyatt Earp movie with Kevin Costner is very well done. Lonesome Dove, of course. The Shootist with John Wayne. Shawshank Redemption, great movie. And there's others, but those are some that I like that I could watch again anytime. You know, I really, gosh, it's a shame there aren't any good movies made much anymore, isn't it? I sound like an old man, complaining about there's no good music anymore. But yeah, I mean, really, tell me about it. What were the big 7 or 8 really good movies that came out last Christmas season? Historically, when really good movies are released, as it nears Christmas, probably some brainless comedy that 10 people saw or something. Hollywood just doesn't make that many good movies. There are probably some I haven't heard of or I'm not aware of because I'm out of the I don't know, the social world of talking a lot about movies. Maybe newer ones. Same with music, but well, one I enjoyed was the Dylan movie, A Complete Unknown. I enjoyed it. That was a little different though because I I am such a Dylan fan, I guess, of his music, his writing, and so I know just enough about his life that that movie was more interesting or is more interesting to me than it would be to a lot of people. People who never really cared for Dylan, the same ones who complain about his singing voice, all that. You're not going to enjoy it. You're not going to, get that much out of that. You don't care that much about it. But he definitely deserved the Nobel Prize for Literature that he won. He's a great writer, and I think a great singer. Boy, what he does with a word and a syllable uh, is phenomenal. I think if you listen to him and can appreciate what he's doing. Anyway, I got off on that topic. Anyway, those are some of my favorite movies, and I miss the days when there are a lot of good movies coming out uh, because I have to go back through by and large. If I want to watch some movies, it's in the winter especially, and all right, what do I crank up that I've seen before, but I haven't seen in a long time? That it's time to see it again. And of course, I didn't get into series. I loved the series Breaking Bad and some of those, but Better Call Saul and all that. But these are the movies, some of them, and there's probably others I'm not thinking about. So, any of those movies that you like a lot, any of those movies you haven't seen yet, I tell you, if there's any of those you've not seen, uh, if you like movies, you would like, I think, any of those. Did I say Jeremiah Johnson? I did, didn't I? Yeah. So, uh, good movies. It's funny. I like westerns, of course. When you go to Netflix or Amazon Prime, or whatever, and just go through, there are all these B grade, C grade westerns. But I've gotten to where, I mean, it's just not even worth clicking on them. I really, if you know of one, let me know that a no name, Western that I don't know, it's come out in the last few years or something. There's probably a couple that are worthy of our attention, but most of them, almost all of them, if you pull up, it's got Gunfight in Dodge or whatever the title is. You've never heard of it. You don't recognize any of the actors, of course, actresses either, and I mean, it's just invariably when you click on it and get into it, all right, well maybe this isn't too bad. you go, you can sort of tell right away. You go through a couple of scenes, and you're like, yeah, okay, all right, yep, I see why I hadn't heard of it. But occasionally you'll run into one where you're a little bit surprised. It looks like it's well done. Yeah, this is interesting. Kind of slow moving, but it's the all the things, the setting seems period correct and props and everything, and some decent acting, and you sort of stay with it for a while, 15, 20, 30 minutes, and you keep waiting for it to get a little better, for something to develop, and nothing does. You tuned into some of those before. It's like the only problem with this, it looks like, the cinema, the setting, and the acting, nothing wrong with the acting, or it's just they kind of needed a plot, you know. They needed a story, need something to happen. Uh, and I'm not one of those people that needs, a shootout if it's a western or whatever every 2 minutes, that kind of thing. I like a good plot, good characters, and there'll be some action, there'll be some conflict, obviously, or it's not a story. So I don't need something going on crazy all the time. Like a good example. Oh, I left Open Range off. See, I told you. Open Range is one of my favorite movies. Oh yeah, Robert Duvall. Gosh, what else with Robert Duvall? Of course, I got Mockingbird, but anything he's in is one of my favorites, right? So anyway, I'll shut up. Those are some of my favorite movies. Obviously, two or three have come to me just as I sit here, so the list is totally incomplete. Is there such a thing as being totally incomplete? Sounds like a contradiction to me. Life is good.